Today we're going to be talking about the right age to trial for rep sides, snacking to gain weight, and improving your mobility around the shoulder joint. Welcome to episode 67 of Run It Straight. All right, let's jump into our first question. What?
Let's get into it.
Let's get into it. All right, what age is it most important to be trying out for rep sides? I wouldn't say that there is an age, it's the right thing, but rather the player should try out for reps when they're ready to try out for reps. I think sometimes nothing can be more demoralizing to a kid who's developing than going and trialing when you're not competent at that level yet. Because you've got to remember there's club level, and let's say you're playing in a Division 1 side, and then even a rep trial is a level above that, and then reps is a level above that again, okay? We've seen so many parents of kids who I think want it more than the kid does, and they've pushed the kids to trial before they were ready. The kids have gone really badly at the trial, and then they want to give up the game as a result. A game that that they love, that gets them off the couch, that gets them out socialising and exercising, and gets them out with their mates. And oftentimes we've seen that you've got a player who's definitely improving year on year, and if the parent had waited like literally just 12 months, then they may have developed their game to the point where they were ready to trial. So it's not something that you want to rush, okay? Now, a general rule of thumb we use for when someone is ready to make a rep side is the following 5 points, okay? This goes up in a lot of our content. We talk about this all the time. Point number 1, when they're playing at a consistently at the highest level available to them. So typically, if you're in one of the city regions, that means you're playing in a Division 1 competition. Everyone, my friend made it from Div 2, or this guy made it from Div 2.
Right.
Yes, people make it from Div 2. We're not saying that you're not going to make it from Div 2, but a good indicator or sign is that you are in a Division 1 side. Division 1, the level is higher. You're playing against bigger, faster, stronger athletes, and so your game tends to get better, and selectors tend to be watching it.
Yes.
Okay, doesn't mean it's impossible from Div 2, but a good sign is that you're in a Div 1 side. That's a start. Okay, and we're talking by around under 15s. Before that, it doesn't particularly matter, but by 15s, you really want to be in that Div 1 side. Number 2, you're getting noticed. So coaches, parents, opposition coaches, and even opposition players will regularly comment, when you're walking off and you're shaking hands with the other team, a whole bunch of them, mate, you killed it out there today, good runs today, man, you're tough to play against. And they don't say that to everyone on the team. They might say that to 2 or 3 guys who stand out, okay? And look, the parents aren't trying to blow air up your backside either. They will generally, wow, you've really come on this year. When you're getting to that level, it's like, okay, you're standing out. That means that you're getting to the level where you're ready to get picked. Unfortunately, a lot of people think, he makes all of his tackles, never misses a tackle, doesn't make any handling errors. Those things are good, but those things aren't the things that are going to get you picked in a side. They're really helpful if you've got a little bit of X factor and you can do something that stand out, but on their own, those things, they're not going to get you picked.
Exactly.
Okay, so getting noticed. Next, you're in the top 4 to 5 players in your team. Okay, week in, week out, you're within that group that are really dictating whether you guys are competitive and whether you win a game or not. So, your coach is probably doing, or it could be shared around amongst the parents, but they generally do a 3-2-1 point system. Now, if you're not getting within those 3-2-1 points every second or third week, you're probably not ready. But if you are, then you probably are ready, right? Think of it this way. Let's say that there's 6 teams in Division 1. And they're going to be picking a Harold Matt side. The Harold Matt side is going to end up having 25 players, right? That's going to be roughly 4 to 5 players from each of those particular sides. Again, this is very rough, right? So if you're not in the top 4 or 5 players, if you had to rank them and you were player 8 or 9, the chances of you making that rep side are probably going to be very low.
Yeah.
Okay, so these are some of the little targets, the little signs. Next to, you got to be physically ready. So from a strength, fitness, body composition, power point of view, you need to be where you need to be. And if you're not with those things, you might have really good skill level, you might have a few of these other bits and pieces, but then, if you're just too light, and so whenever you just get involved in head-to-head contact, you get dominated every time, you're obviously not there yet. So you need to go away and you need to do some more physical prep.
Yep.
And the last thing that I would say is when your team really misses you when you're not there. If when you're off the field, even if you sub off and the whole level of the team drops down, and then when you come back on, it lifts back up again, that's probably an indicator you're up in and around where one of those people who can really dictate how the game goes. And those are the people who tend to get looked at for reps.
Exactly.
Anything you want to add in on that?
No, just Plain and simple, just be ready for them.
Yeah, and look, what is the right age? The right age is whenever you're ready. So we say this so often, don't focus on making the rep side, focus on becoming the best footballer you can be. And then if those opportunities are going to come, they'll come, but they're not going to come when you're not ready. And if they do come when you're not ready, it's not going to go anywhere. So the biggest thing is you need to be ready. The old saying is you're better being prepared for an opportunity and not having it than having an opportunity come up and not being prepared. Okay, so just make sure that you're ready for it.
Exactly.
Question number 2. My son is 12 years old, 150 centimeters and 48 kilos, dummy half. He's on 3,300 calories. Do you have any ideas on snacks to help him gain weight? First, sounds like pretty switched on to doing a good job. If you've got a kid who's 12 and you're tracking their food, their calories, everything else like that.
How good.
My suggestion would actually be to use ChatGPT, look, make sure that the prompt that you give it is as detailed as possible. But think of whatever it is that your son likes to eat, list out 10, 15 things, and then list out the circumstances. If it's, what are some snacks, using these as examples of what he likes, that he can take to school that he could prep the night before, or that he's going to prep the day off, or that you could prep 3 days before and wrap in an airtight container and they're going to stay. Get really, really detailed on that. Look, because trying to give food suggestions is really, really hard. It's like music or movies or things like that. Everyone's got their own taste. But ChatGPT is so useful for creating meal plans, for creating snack plans, for creating those kinds of things. And if you feed it, I want this, this, and this, this is the day, this is the amount of calories, this is the amount of protein, blah, 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 blah. The more detail you give it, the better its response is going to be. Some thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, 100%. So, even on that, going to ChatGPT, say, they might sometimes list foods that might be available overseas, not necessarily Australia. So you can go, look, give me ingredients that I can find at Coles for under a certain amount of money. It's things that avoid, that don't have any gluten, soy, if he's got any allergies, or if he's lactose or anything like that. So you can be very creative with ChatGPT. In saying that, if you want specific ideas, something that I find really good for a lot of boys that we use here, liquid calories. So things like juices, having shakes, but then beefing up the shakes with maybe some peanut butter, using whole milk, ice cream if you want to put some ice cream in it, so making it like a smoothie. Things like that aren't going to take up too much room in the stomach, that'll go through the digestive system very quickly, and that it can churn through. He could probably have upwards of 1,000 calorie shake and not be full from it, and that's a third of his day done. So be creative, as Joe said, go on ChatGPT, and then my biggest advice for you is look into having some more liquid calories. So things like juices, whole fat milk, things like that.
100%. Okay, next question. I need to work on my shoulder. I need more shoulder mobility. All right then. Look, there could be a multitude of things that are going on here with this. First, I would say, first point of call is go and book yourself in with a physio and get it assessed. All right, but because that's what their expertise is. But let's assume that you're going to ignore that piece of advice, because we give this advice to people all the time, and then they talk to you 2 weeks later, and you say, "What did the physio say?" And then they look down, they look around. "Oh, I didn't go to the physio." It's like, okay. So let's assume that you're going to ignore that one, right? The first place I would start would be by stretching. Now, if your shoulders are tight, I'd start by stretching out your chest and stretching out your lats. Both of those are what we call internal rotators. So they're going to pull everything forward. So they're going to pull your whole shoulder girdle forward. They're going to turn the humerus, which is the bone in your upper arm. It's going to turn it in. A lot of guys who train a lot, lift a lot, should I say, in the gym, do a lot of bench press and do a lot of pull downs, end up with tight shoulders, and that becomes problematic. Okay, so they pull your scapula forward. They reduce the amount of room in the subacromial space. And that causes shoulder impingement issues. So let's start by stretching out your pecs and stretching out your lats, and I would be doing it 2 to 3 times a day for like 3 to 5 minutes on your chest, 3 to 5 minutes on your lats. Okay, that's where I would start. Next, I'd start focusing in on strengthening your rhomboids, which is your mid back, the muscles that sit between your shoulder blades. Okay, now they often get undertrained by guys who go to the gym. Like, this is one of those things is people are going, they'll just join up and I go gym now, and they'll do a whole bunch of chest press, they'll do a whole bunch of pull downs, and then they're like, I've done chest chest press, and I've done back pull downs. I'm good, I've balanced it out. But as I mentioned, both of those are internal rotators because of where the lats attach. Doing pull downs doesn't balance you out from doing chest press. Doing rows balances you out from doing chest press. And yeah, I know from answering DMs on Instagram, when I get people to send in their programs, they'll have an incline barbell bench press, a flat barbell bench press, incline dumbbell chest press, flat dumbbell chest press, and they'll have done like 12 sets of chest. And then they'll do like 10, 12 sets of pull downs, and they'll do 3 sets of rows. And they're like, why are my shoulders sore? If you're doing 12 sets of chest, you need to be doing 12 sets of rows to be balancing it out. Okay. You want to talk through like what we're going to do, external rotation and trap 3?
Yeah, so getting your external rotators stronger, so using things like dumbbell external rotation, cable external rotations, different angles, elbow high, elbow close, 45 degrees, things like that. Getting those stronger. And then obviously your trap 3, so your lower trap muscles helping with scapular stability. Especially doing things like overhead work and things like that. That'll help obviously stabilize the shoulder when you are pressing, when you're doing any type of overhead pressing especially. Getting those stronger will also increase your bench press and shoulder press and all these other other movements massively. Like you can do 12 weeks of, maybe not 12 weeks, but you can do a period of time just doing general flat bench, dumbbell bench, hitting your rows, hitting your pull downs, things like that, making sure you're balanced, and then hammering your external rotation, your bench will get stronger without a doubt.
Yeah, it shoots up. We do see it all the time. If you do 3 programs, say 9 weeks, it just goes through the ceiling. So, summarize, see a physio. If you're not going to listen, go see a physio. You need to increase mobility. You need to stretch out your pecs. You need to stretch out your lats, and then you need to strengthen your rhomboids, strengthen your external rotators, and strengthen your lower traps. Another episode done. All right, please, if you've got any questions, comment in the comment section, because that's what the comment section is for. I will get back to those comments personally. If you want to go in a little bit more in depth, hit me up on Instagram, send a DM there. That's where I spend most of my time. Again, it is me that's answering those questions. Please like the video, share the video, hit the notification bell.
Subscribe to the channel.
Subscribe. How did I miss that one? Other than that, guys, we will see you in the next one.